My final words on the Lowrider ST. Let's talk about it. Alright, what's going on YouTube? FXDLS Brooklyn is back in the building, and this is one of the final videos we're going to do on the 2022 Lowrider ST. We put over 1,000 miles on this bike, ran it through all sorts of different scenarios, and yeah, at the end of the road, this is the day that I am about to ride it another 100 miles to bring it back to O'Toole's Harley Davidson out in Wurtsboro, New York. And yeah, I just wanted to do a video after everything's said and done, where we're currently at, you know, what are my final thoughts, who do I recommend it for, and what is my future for this bike, which I've kind of mentioned a little bit here and there in all my different videos, right? So in one of the recent videos, we covered the idea of people selling their performance Dynas to get this, right? I don't know if I'd be selling my hot rod Dyna. That bike is just too sentimental at this point, right? But at the end of the day, you know, I'm definitely someone that did hype this bike when they first announced it, you know, going back over a year now. And what I'll say is after putting down all the miles that I put down on this bike, I could go back and look at all my videos that I made in January 2022 and very much stand by my intuition. And my intuition was right. And back in 2022, I said that this is going to be the bike. This is the one that Harley Davidson got right. And that was before even riding it. That was just seeing what Harley had announced. That was just seeing the tech specs. That was just seeing the price, all that stuff. And after seeing all that, again, my intuition back in January in 22 was this is the one. After getting to ride it, after getting to run it like my own in every condition I would usually ride in, I'm going to go ahead and say I stand by my intuition. I stand by what I said back in January 2022, that this is the one. This is the one that they got right. And before this came out, you know, I would say that about the Lowrider S, the Dyna Lowrider S, but in terms of this package, in terms of the research they did to get that fairing as dialed in as it is, in terms of all the performance you're getting, the suspension, the inverted front end, the bags, man, you know, the bags really grew on me. The 117 coming out of the box with a big motor that still doesn't get too hot when you're running it in urban miles. And one of my favorite little things, the cruise control, right? Something you're going to want if you are doing the bike trips. With all that stuff, as well as just how good this bike looks out the box, you know, my final words are, yeah, me personally, is this bike going to be in my future? Absolutely. Somehow, some way. I don't know how. I'm definitely not in the market for buying a new motorcycle right now with how packed our garage currently is. But I don't know. You know, in terms of doing content on this bike, in terms of putting miles on this bike, we're going to find a way. We're going to keep it going, you know, especially going forward. I'm really looking to do a longer trip, say like a cross-country trip with this bike, to truly put it to the test. Because I said before in some of my other videos, you know, the max we did was small little bike trips. Like I'm talking 300, 400 mile days. So I want to do like 1,000 miles in a day. I want to do a typical day on the road, which for us is anywhere from 700 plus miles, and see how it feels when I'm exhausted from being on the bike all day. See how it does from spending life on the road for a couple weeks. That's where I'm thinking, that's where I'm going next in terms of content with this bike. Yeah, things that really grew on me, like I said, I made a video about it, but the hard bags really grew on me. They did their homework, man. Those bags are locked in with 3 points of contact. They ain't going anywhere, right? Functionality, they crush it. Added security, being able to lock it, absolutely crushes it. Like I said before, bike handles amazing in every scenario. I was able to throw it around the twisties. I was able to throw it around the city. Handled the mean streets of New York like a boss. Ate every pothole, every irregularity in the road like a boss. And that's with stock suspension. So I made the video about upgrades and I kept it really simple. I said, for me personally, you know, with the garage that I have, I'd be buying this bike to keep it as stock as possible. Only things I'd be changing is the exhaust, obviously, the bars, probably putting some mini floorboards or MX style pegs on here, maybe do a little thing or two with the lighting, and then that would be it. And obviously the seat. Yeah, the seat would come first. I'd be throwing a Saddlemen on there. And that's it. Like I said, this bike would be my road runner. This bike would be my this bike would be my distance runner. This bike would be the Swiss Army bike in my garage. Whereas at that point, my Dynas, my FXRs, I'd probably only be running those for tri-state area riding, or if I'm just looking to get the feel of a hot rod or a muscle car type feel, whereas this is your performance car. This is your go the distance, do it like a boss, straight out the box. So my final thoughts is, from someone who stacks miles on Dynas and FXRs, it's really left an impression on me. And I feel like, you know, how I felt in 2016, where Harley just knocked it out of the park. They listened and paid really close attention to their rider base, especially their younger rider base. And they came out with a premium bike that I think is going to fit almost everybody's riding style. And again, that's if you're doing urban riding, that's if you're doing bike trips, that's if you're doing day trips, that's really whatever you're doing. This bike straight up excelled in, you know? If you're doing 10 miles to the grocery store to pick up groceries, it's your bike. If you're doing cross-country trips to stack your miles, it's your bike. They really did come up with a bike that, again, fits almost everybody's riding style and very much fits mine. And y'all know my path with all this stuff. I had to work really hard to turn a Dyna into this build, you know, retrofitting a fairing on there, doing all that stuff. So the fact that Harley Davidson just made it so easy for people trying to get into the level of riding that I do, which is sport touring straight up, I think Harley Davidson definitely did a service to our riding community, for anyone who's into performance Harley, or anyone who's just into stacking the miles, doing the bike trips and all that. So Harley, you knocked it out of the park. Nice work. I can't wait to put more miles on this thing. I don't know when it'll be. I don't know how it will be, but at some point, FX DLS Brooklyn will transform once again to FX LR ST Brooklyn. And, you know, super shout out to Harley Davidson itself. It was just really amazing getting to work with the company. They were awesome and really supportive in all my time with this bike. Shout out to O'Toole's Harley Davidson for supporting us with this and keeping this bike going and checking it out. And shout out to all you guys for, you know, staying tuned for sticking around with some of the new content, with new bikes, new builds, and new ideas. I appreciate having you all along for the journey. And that's it, y'all. Stay safe, stay low, ride Dynas, ride FXRs, ride lowrider STs, and on that, FX DLS Brooklyn is out.